Okay, everybody. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to our final session of our Business Analytics virtual event today. We're so glad that you're sharing part of your Friday with us. My name is Nicole Young. I'm the marketing manager here at McGraw-Hill that covers marketing and introduction to business. And I am just going to introduce a few housekeeping notes and then turn it over to our presenters today. So just as if you've been on other calls, you probably know this, but all participants are on mute today. We would love to engage with you, however, and you'll have a couple opportunities to answer some questions. So you will be muted, but please do use the chat or the Q&A area. We'll monitor that and try to get all of those questions answered or collect them and post them post-session if we need to do that. We are recording the session and we'll send that out via email to anyone who is interested in that, to all the folks that registered, as well as post this on the larger event landing page so that you can have access to it. So without further ado, I will turn it over to our fabulous presenters, Dana and Haya, and I will go on mute myself. And thank you all again for attending, and I'll be watching chat and Q&A.
Thank you very much, Nicole. I would have to repeat the sentiment that you said. We really appreciate that folks have joined us despite the fact that it's Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So welcome, everyone. We are delighted to be here with you today to talk about this topic that we're very passionate about, Dana and I, that's about data-driven marketing decisions. So one thing that we wanted to kind of orient you to in this presentation, we know that the discussion around business analytics has been really now probably mainstream for about 8 years or probably 9 years in the making. And we know that most institutions or higher education institutions, when they were introducing this to the curriculum, looked at their master's program first. But we want to take you today from this kind of notion of like, we really need business analytics curriculum within our business school. And it's not just within a major. We think that it needs, the analytic skills need to be diffused within every function within a marketing, within a business that we teach about, such as marketing, finance, accounting, and others. So today, the big picture that we'll start with is the why. And Dina and I have conducted some analysis using Burning Glass for you, and we'll share those results. And then the how we are planning our to help, or we're proposing to help to bridge that gap. So to get us started, let us introduce ourselves first. So my name is Haya Ajan. I'm an associate faculty member at Elon University, where I've now served on the faculty body for about 10 years. I teach business analytics classes, and I had the pleasure and the honor really to work with amazing colleagues to start our business analytics curriculum at Elon, both in the master's first actually, and then in the undergraduate degree. So now we had our program set since about fall 2014. That was our first cohort that we taught, and our program continues to evolve and improve. And about 5 years ago, I actually started the Center for Analytics at Elon, where we engage local companies as well as faculty from across campus with students who work on solving really big analytics challenges that our community members are facing. And it has been really a delight to work in this space, and can't wait to share with you the work that we have, Dana and I have been engaged in as well with this. And I would like now to turn it to Dana, where she's going to tell us more about her work.
Hi, my name is Dana Harrison. I'm an assistant professor of marketing at East Tennessee State University in the College of Business and Technology. I teach marketing analytics, marketing research, and strategy courses. And more recently, I actually helped develop the marketing analytics concentration at the undergraduate level, where we took a cross-disciplinary approach and collaborated with our technology side of the college, which was really fun. And so they're going to also be helping us with several courses in the program. And I also assisted in the development of the digital marketing minor, as well as our business analytics concentration on the MBA at the MBA level program. So thank you so much for joining us today. So not long ago, analytics was really this highly specialized field for individuals who had in-depth knowledge of mathematical modeling, computer programming, and sort of specialized software packages. But we've really seen more recently that many changes have occurred to make analytics more practical and available to a much larger audience. And as a result, companies are really representing many different industries that have adopted analytics to improve marketing efforts. And this is what Tahaya was talking about. But according to Burning Glass, knowledge of analytics is one of the top skills that boost marketing careers. And Hai and I actually ran a Burning Glass report to look at the total number of jobs that consisted of marketing analysis skills. And we were actually very surprised to see over 850,000 positions posted between August of 2019 and 2020. So we know there's a real high demand for these skills. And in the meantime, we actually also discovered that the median salary for these types of positions was around $71,000. So as organizations adopt more advanced techniques, we really hear frequently that they're in need of hiring individuals with experience in these areas. So Harvard Business Review actually published an article a couple of years ago now. I'm not sure if any of you saw it, but it was on the thought of business translators, where the purpose is to bridge the technical as well as that operational expertise between data scientists in areas such as marketing. And then McKinsey and Company actually suggested that by 2026, there'd really be a need for about 2 to 4 million of these types of business translators. So what skills are employers seeking for marketing analytics positions that really fall into this business translator role? And as you can see here, there's a demand for employees to be prepared with knowledge and skills of analytics techniques and technology that are transforming marketing and sales functions such as Python and Tableau, but also in addition to soft skills such as teamwork and collaboration, discipline knowledge, and then also problem solving. So we're finding that companies in many different industries, from healthcare to financial to also entertainment, are advertising for these marketing analytics positions. And the title of position does vary a little bit, but we do know that the demand still exists for a lot of our students. So this actually shows a Google Trend search showing the increasing interest in marketing analytics over time. And I'm not sure how well you can see it there on your screen, but it's in comparison to human resources, financial analytics, as well as supply chain analytics. So a lot of interesting increase in search there. And then marketing analytics is one of the fastest growing fields of analytics applications. In fact, just this year, McKinsey and Company reported that a main use area of analytics was in marketing. And marketers are really finding that insights from analytics increase company performance. And we see this in various use cases, but such as pricing and product development, channel management, marketing communications, as well as things like selling. But Gartner recently conducted a study with CMOs, and one of the questions they asked about was their marketing budget and what was being allocated for different programs or in operational areas. And results actually showed there on the left-hand side of your screen that 16% of their budget was actually spent on marketing analytics. And then when asked about the top capabilities that they considered most critical in supporting marketing strategy, over the next 18 months, 32% actually indicated marketing analytics as a necessary capability. So due to the growing needs by companies for employees to possess these knowledge and skills related to these analytics, universities, I think we're seeing they're increasing their integrating analytics throughout their entire curriculum, whether it's in single standalone courses or maybe into their existing traditional curriculum.
And Nicole here, I think we would like to pose one of the polls questions that we have for our audience. Would you please, would you mind helping us with that one?
Of course. Is it the one about the course or the second one?
Dana, which order did we send them?
I'll just go ahead and put this in.
Yeah,
that's
perfect. Yes.
That's
I'm like, no. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on this question. Do you currently, now understanding there's a high demand in the market among in this Gartner study that's being highlighted, or whether it's Burning Glass, and we see that more and more companies are requesting that. Would love for you to help us answer this question if you currently have a marketing analytics course within your curriculum.
So we're getting some answers coming in here, and I will close the poll here. Once I do that, gives you 15 more seconds to continue. Several people are in progress. Perfect. I suspect there's probably some folks who maybe have them in development that don't have them yet, but see what we have here. Are you guys seeing the results?
Yes, very nice. So we could see that 8 out of 23, so 35% of our participants have said that yes, they do have a marketing analytics course, and 6 probably no. Like you said, Nicole, probably some of these courses are under development. And what is the last section, Nicole? The 39%.
Those are I did not. I think I didn't
No answer. Okay,
didn't
got it.
get it yet.
Wonderful. Well, this is really interesting because Dana and I have actually run for about the past 2 years now. Actually, we're supposed to have a 3rd year this year, but because of COVID, our plans got postponed. But what we have done is we have ran the AMS Academy of Marketing Science Marketing Analytics course. And every year we have actually had to extend the capacity of the rooms that we have booked at the conference because there were more and more people that are interested in this topic. So we know that more and more marketing programs in particular are interested in adding marketing analytics. And we would like to share with you how we have bridged this gap between what you're seeing in the market demanding and what we're currently doing in the classroom. And what we have done in our textbook is actually introduce this analytics framework that is basically takes the students from business understanding of what the problem is all the way to the model deployment. And in each of these stages, we actually challenge the students to think about the depth of the problem that we are dealing with. For instance, in business understanding, some of the things that we do, we ask the students to hone down the business question that we're trying to answer, to think about stakeholders and the stakeholder interviews. We actually propose a protocol for how you ask people so you can that are related to the problem, so you can understand the context. So as you're diving deep into the data, you can actually have this context guide you throughout that. Something else that we would tell you is that it's so easy to get lost in data analytics projects, right? You get the data, you get excited. And I can't tell you how many times my students get a data set and they just want to run the model. I'm like, you can't do that. We have to understand what is it that we're trying to get out of the data before we run any modeling. So make sure our variables are right, our data is prepared well. And we walk through the students throughout this process. And then we get to the model development and evaluation. We talk about the different evaluation techniques. And then one thing that we know from practitioners that they've said they wish more analytics program focus on is the storytelling with data. And this is something that we pause in the book that we have put together. And we really try to help the reader, the student, think through, like, what is it that you're trying to tell and communicate, and how could you influence with the data now that you have and the model that you have, the decision making within the organization. And again, another area that we feel is probably not taught as much in our business curriculum today is the model deployment. And within model deployment comes a lot of questions such as like the bias of the program that you have built and understanding that and how it's going to impact the users. And to add to that, actually, when we start with a business understanding, we also ask, help the students think through the ethical dilemmas that we may be challenged with as we're approaching a data analytics problem. Another technique and model that we actually introduce in our book, we look at that analytical framework as well within the lens of descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive. And we know from the literature that the more that the data is moving up this channel, meaning from descriptive to predictive to prescriptive, the higher the competitive advantage typically that the organization gets. So we help students understand what part of the decision is descriptive and what a predictive model means, and then how that leads us to a more, again, for certain modeling techniques, to a prescriptive recommendation. So if we are to kind of give you a look at the chapters that we have written, we started with that fundamental framework using the lens that we just talked about in the earlier slide. So you see the data analytics fundamentals here. This is one chapter that we cover where we help students understand the big picture around analytics. And then we know from experience and from doing a lot of research that you cannot be a good data analyst if you don't have a good fundamental knowledge of data management. And we're talking with a lot of practitioners. They said, if I'm hiring someone in marketing analytics, I want them to know SQL. So because of that, we actually demystified sequel in this chapter. We talk about data management, from how you bring data from different sources. We know that marketing students, when they go and work for employers, they're going to have to be able to pull data from databases on their own, so they're not always going to somebody who has the data centralized. So for that, we talk about how you pull data from different sources, put them together, and we have a hands-on SQL case study actually that we had a lot of fun writing, which was about avocado sales in the country. So that was really fun to put together. Then the following chapter, what we did is we took an kind of a two-lens approach here. We understand that when you get a data set, an exploratory approach is really necessary. And for that, what we did is we utilized Watson Analytics capabilities, and we help students see how knowledge discovery works when you upload a data set into a software that's enabled by Watson, how it's able to discover some of those trends for you in the data. So again, we're kind of trying to bring to the students the latest tools that are available on the market that will help them really prepare themselves for their careers in analytics. And then we love chapter 4 in the book that we wrote because it's about visualization, and we took a lens of design elements and how you really design something that can tell a story but can also influence the user. So for instance, we talk about colors and the importance of colors, and then we have a case study that we partnered with Red Ventures, which is a marketing firm in North Carolina. We actually worked with them to give us a data set that they typically give their new associates or associates that they're planning or thinking about hiring. So that same data set that they give to I guess people they're trying to recruit, we take that data set and work through a visualization assignment with the students. So really excited about that work that we have completed. Then, of course, we cover things that methods that have to do with supervised learning and unsupervised learning. And supervised learning, we cover the grandfather of all analytics techniques, that's regression analysis. We demystify neural network and its meaning. We actually take the students through step by step what's happening in the black box of how neural network works in a very kind of simple to understand way. And then at the end, we ended again with another case study. And we can't talk about supervised learning in today's market without talking about automated machine learning. So we bring as well a data robot case study to the book. We continue with this book and we talk about market segmentation and market basket analysis. And we know from a marketing perspective, it's so important to understand that the different market segments that we're trying to serve. We cover cluster analysis in the book, as well as we ask students, like in the book, as you're logging into your favorite website and you're getting all these recommendations on the site for other products to see, how is this happening behind the scenes? So we actually take them through an example of a market basket analysis. And again, we take them through a case study for that. And then advanced analytics, those are, again, topics that we think are so critical, from text mining and the importance of text mining. We know that today 80% of the data out there is unstructured data. So we know how important it is to hone those skills on text mining. So we take students through a sentiment mining exercise, sentiment analysis. And then we know social network analysis as an important emerging topic. That's an old topic that's coming today in social media and the connections that we build via technology in a very, very strong way. So we help students as well see how they can understand customers through that lens. And I don't think you can have a marketing analytics book without talking about web analytics. So for that, we have actually covered a web analytics chapter and focused on Google Analytics for the case study. So a lot of exciting things. I know that seems like a lot right now, but it was really fun to put together things based on conversations that we've had with practitioner and hiring managers, as well as marketing analysts and the work that they do. in our work, when we're trying to decide like what are the topics that we need to cover, we actually did a lot of research. And one of the websites that we have consulted is KD Nuggets, which a lot of data analysts actually use on a daily basis for information as well as for training. And we found that based on just last year's, these are the softwares that they have, that the analysts have said that they use. Things like Python, RapidMiner, Excel, Tableau, and that type of research that we have done, you see there SQL language. So that type of research that we have done helped us determine kind of that we cannot really just teach one tool in the book. And I know that's something that is more typically in textbooks, but we felt what we needed to give the reader is a toolbox approach. Depending on the type of problem that you have, then you can pick the right tool to solve that problem. And that's why we actually took this perspective to introduce the students in the textbook to different tools. All the tools that you see here are actually available at no cost for the students. So that's something that we had in mind. And what we did is we feel by the end of the semester that the faculty could select certain chapters to teach. They don't have to teach all these tools, but if the faculty does decide to teach several of these tools, the student will end up by the end of the semester putting several tools that are in high demand from an employment perspective. So we're really hoping that we helped kind of bridge that gap between the industry demands that we have talked about earlier and what we do in the classroom. We have very engaging chapter structure. We want to tell you that for every chapter, we have had a consultant that we worked with in the industry, an expert, an executive in the industry that actually provided insights on how they use the tool that we are presenting or the method that we're presenting in the chapter. For instance, we have the head of analytics at Starbucks provide us with a segment on automated machine learning. We have a very high level executive at Teradata tell us as well about or share with us, for instance, how neural networks work and when to use them and when not to use them. But also we asked the young people who just graduated and just started working in the field. We said, give us, your perspective on how this or that thing is used. And they did. And we think that this will help students connect the dots that while, I'm not at the executive level yet, I also could see somebody who just graduated and what they're doing with data analytics. So we're hoping, again, that this helps bring those things to life. But we took the approach of explore first in the book. So you will see a lot of examples of how companies that the students can relate to, such as, for instance, Facebook and Stitch Fix and others are actually utilizing data analytics in order to make better decisions, and each of the techniques that we talk about. Then we dive deep into how the technique works, and Joe Hare, our co-author, was a great resource for us to help us think about this from a marketing student perspective, where we didn't want to make it a very complicated method. We actually demystified the method really to its elements. You still understand now what it means, but it's not a lot of mathematical modeling, for instance, to derive the solution. So we're very excited about that approach. And every chapter has a hands-on case study that will allow the student to play with one of the software that we showed you earlier. But we believe that this allows students to be creative and to feel like they can explore those tools, and hopefully that will take them to that next level that they need to embark on their great analytics career. I think the last thing Dana and I were thinking about, this as a process and not really as something that you do and you stop. We feel the field of analytics is emerging at such a fast pace. In fact, several case studies that we have created a few months back, we had to edit for our final review, because the tools are rapidly changing. Well, the changes are minor currently, but we know that in the span of a year or two, it just is going to continue to be better and better. So that commitment to continuous learning, we feel, is really critical. And that's why actually one thing that we are also very excited about is the Connect exercises that are going to go with this book that will help the students as well as we feel our fellow instructors kind of think about these exercises and how it could be applied in real life situations, and more kind of adding that hands-on experience that's very necessary. I don't know, Dina, did I miss anything?
She's on mute. Dana, I think you're on mute there.
Sorry, I was trying to find the button that worked. No, I don't think you missed anything. Sorry.
Did you guys want me to put the poll up question about the technologies?
Yeah, we would love that. And then Nicole, if there are any questions from participants, we would love to as well answer those.
Of
So
course.
I see one, I think, from Rick.
Okay.
And so I think he said, any details you can share on that conference? And it's actually the Academy of Marketing Science Conference. It's always held in May of every year. Unfortunately, this past year it was postponed. We were really hoping to return in December, but unfortunately that's not going to happen. So it will be online in December. And then, yeah, so that if you're interested, we're going to offer it this December online.
Great. I've also opened up the poll question. So hopefully you guys can see on your screen a poll question to answer. And I can give you guys a few other questions here that have come in. Someone said, is R not that important for marketing analytics?
Could you repeat the question again, Nicole? Did you say not as important?
Is R, the letter R, not that important for marketing analytics?
No, we think it's actually really important, and that's a great question. In fact, some of the surveys that we as well have read said that R, is commonly used. But what we have decided to do, because the chapters that we have focused on, like such as text mining, to utilize open source, we decided to actually focus on Python. And we do believe that once you learn one open source, that the transfer of knowledge to the other open source tool is actually not that difficult. One thing that Dana and I were thinking about from a resource perspective for faculty is to show those tools. So if the book chapter is showing Python, we could probably do that as well in R and provide the material in R if that's useful for the faculty. So this is something else that we have been thinking about. We do think that companies are utilizing more open source for understandable reasons, right? It's a very dynamic tool with new libraries emerging all the time, but also it's available at no cost. We are curious to hear, Nicole, what were the poll results. So we have 27% of our participants interested in Tableau. You would really enjoy that data set that we have them from Red Venture. And then in IBM Cognos, we had a 0%. And this is actually their exploratory tool that's based on Watson. They have changed it a lot in the past year. And then we have Python. We have some interest in Python, around 18% and 14% for SQL. That's wonderful. And you will see all these tools the way we are introduced in the book. We assume that you come to the book with no knowledge of any of these tools, and we actually take you on a journey from like the download of the process to the login to like, here's how you type your first statement, for example, in Python. So this is really exciting to read that people are interested in Python as well as Tableau and SQL. This is really great.
Yeah, and another reason we actually selected Python over R was just after talking with some of the practitioners in industry work, and that was a suggestion that they had as well as I think, I'm not sure if you recall this slide back just a few, but where the top analytics software in the Katie Nuggets poll was actually Python. So there were just some reasoning. There's some other reasons, that went along with selecting Python, but R is important as well. So.
Great. Somebody asked if there is a charge to use IBM Cognos.
Yeah, great question. IBM Cognos, actually, there's a trial that is free that students can use. Do you remember, Dana, that period? Is it 1 month?
They have changed it, and I believe it might be 90 days now. They actually just made this change within probably the last 30 days. So I do know how it has changed slightly,
but there is a free trial, and then the cost for the software itself, if somebody wanted to adopt it, it's not that expensive. It's like about $30 or so a month. So even if somebody wanted to buy it for later, the cost is very manageable. Sadly, we have asked, they did not have an academic program that we could tap into. Yeah, it's definitely an available software.
Okay, excellent. So we have one more poll question. I'm going to go ahead and put that up there. As they mentioned, they do have a new product that's coming out, a textbook that's coming out in early 2021. Cover was on the screen there at the very end, Essentials of Marketing Analytics. And their co-author is Joseph Hare. That will be out in early 2021 with Connect and the exercises that they've described. So if that's something that is of interest, you can certainly reply to my message when I send the recording and or reach out to your local rep. If you're not feeling prepared for teaching this class, I think this product and all of the instructor supplements will certainly help in that regard. I don't see any other questions that remain unanswered in the chat at this time. Oh, someone's asking one right now, so let me see. Oh, I do see a few more. One says, where does SAS fit? Big data is huge in healthcare, and most of those data sets are SAS based. It was listed in your original intro slide.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. So SAS is such an important product, and we feel, we opted for RapidMiner. And RapidMiner actually utilizes or uses a lot of, there's a lot of similarities between RapidMiner and SAS Enterprise Miner. In fact, the interface with a drag and drop is very, very similar. It was a very tough choice, I have to say, because we were trying to, make the selection of the tools that we would make a recommendation for, and we actually did not use SAS in the book. But we feel, again, some of those knowledge or some of the knowledge that you will learn within RapidMiner is very easily transferable into SAS Enterprise Miner. And I've taught SAS products before. SAS products are definitely great for, especially if you're part of the Academic Alliance for SAS. Yeah, we opted not to use SAS. So it was a tough choice, though, for sure.
Okay, let me close the poll here. Someone asked about piloting and the textbook. And so a few questions like that, I will go ahead and provide that information to you guys over email. So that's something we can work with your rep on. Lou has said, let me see, I'm trying to manage all the chats here. Let's see what we can do. Did the results come back?
Yeah, it did. So we see that 27% have answered yes, and 8 out of 22, that's 36%, have answered no. And we really hope that this book will kind of give you a quick start into, analytics and the fundamentals of analytics, so you could feel very prepared to teach it. And something else that I would love to offer, I know that Dina wouldn't mind as well volunteering her for this, but if you have any questions about analytics or marketing analytics, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We already have, we've been teaching this material. My first class in analytics was in 2012, so it's been really a while, and I know Dina has been as well teaching for a while. So if we can be of any support or a resource for you as you're trying to build your course and think about how, what's the best way to do any of teach any of the tools or the chapter, we are here for you as a resource, and we would love to be part of that journey with you.
Okay, perfect. And one more question says, what does your textbook cover regarding nonlinear regression analysis, such as S-curve, seasonality, etc.?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. We actually have a neural network analysis that we introduce in the chapter, and we know that neural network works very well with nonlinear data. So that's one thing. And I would add to that automated machine learning as well. There are several techniques there that are part of the platform that are nonlinear, and they fit very well as well with the nonlinear data.
Okay, and one more says, so much of an analytics is managed by MarTech tools. How do you integrate these sort of tools into the context of the course? It says black box in parentheses. Okay, Lucia?
I just didn't hear the second part of the question. So a lot of it is managed with a black box. Is that the?
Yes, it's just this. So much of analytics is managed by MarTech tools. How do you integrate these marketing technology tools into
Marketing.
to the course?
Yeah, this is very helpful. So thank you. So I guess what we do with so you're corrected. You said marketing tools, right? So much of analytics is managed by marketing to MarTech tool. How do you integrate these black box sort of tools? So we actually try as much as possible, even with DataRobot. We have this, Dana and I think a lot about transparency of the algorithm and being able to explainability of the algorithm. And that's why we utilize automated machine learning. Like we explain how you can know like which features are really contributing to the decision that you're making. So hopefully that answers the question. I feel like even if the students, right, like even if they join the workforce and they're utilizing some technique, whether it's deep learning or neural network or a regression analysis, they need to know like how or what's happening behind the scene, that the model is as much as possible, that the model is providing a certain outcome. We also talk about things like ensemble models, which we know are very difficult to understand in terms of explainability. But we also tell the students to pause there and kind of think about, you know, it may be much harder to implement an ensemble model because it's hard to understand, you know, what went behind the box. So I guess in the chapter, I don't know, Dana, if you have a different perspective, but I think in the chapter we kind of write a lot about like it's really important to understand what's happening for the algorithm to provide the outcome that it has.
Yes, and for several of the chapters, I mean, we do take them through step-by-step examples, like really simplified examples, so that they get a good understanding, a base there, a good foundation as to maybe what the more complex results of like the case study what might be behind that. And so there are several chapters like that have more complex, like the neural network, and we walk them through. We talk about sort of, we ground it in theory and sort of how all of that works together, walk them through step by step with some really basic type analyses, and then move into the tool. So the tool is important in terms of kind of explaining what the tool might be able to do for them, but that is really the focus in the case study, is using that tool to sort of get at that answer. So the focus is more on like the marketing application and the background with the method, and then we move into the tool later on. So I hope that answers the question, but we really want to give them that good foundation. It's not really about, you know, it's not all about the tool. It's really about that foundation so that they can understand, like Haya was saying, and explain those insights.
Okay. All right. Well, that is all of the questions that I see here today. So thank you so much, Dana and Haya, for your time. Thank you, everybody, for sharing your Friday with us. As mentioned, I will share back this recording with you and we'll post it to the website as well. We hope everybody has an enjoyable rest of your day and a wonderful, safe, healthy weekend. Have a great day.